Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mutinta Masowe, of course. I'm from Central Province, Zambia, Africa, of course. I'm a teacher by profession. I'm also a researcher, and I'm also a gender advocate. So now, in my research, I decided also to work with different NGOs and to come up with an innovation towards last year. And I started this innovation. Of course, it was an online innovation. And this one, it has a theory called the flower theory, and it has the Gestalt school of thought, and also it talks about the SDGs as in broader circles as well. So this innovation is called My Toxic Free World. First of all, it started as just an idea, and then I started on social media, like on how to maybe sensitize people on how best they can be able to rather live a successful life, or maybe like they can attain their objectives. So this is where now when you look at education, like Nelson Mandela put it, it's education is the powerful tool to change the world. So no wonder in the SDGs, like we cannot talk about the other without looking at education. No wonder I advocate for education. So now I looked at My Toxic Free World. Definitely, how can we solve all these things that we have, all the problems that we have? Climate change, of course, is through mindset. And how can you change mindset? It's about education. And how can you change the mindset of somebody? It's about giving them. But education is not just sitting in class getting formal education. Education is in different cycles. There is formal education, informal, there is indigenous education, and there's also the aspect of the sensitization part. It doesn't need necessarily to be in a classroom situation. Of course, it just needs to be any person at any time. It can be unguided and guided and all that. So those are the theories that I looked at when coining My Toxic Free World. So when you look at the word toxin, a toxin is something that is dangerous or something that is harmful. So then I realized to say that after looking at My Toxic Free World, a toxin can affect us either socially, political, and also it can look at environmental, physical, and also it can even in leadership, governance as well. You can find toxins as well, like even just like in friendship as well, socially as well, like I talked about it. We can also look at that, like there are toxins also in climate change. Of course, we talk about environmental, there are toxins as well. So now if we picked environmental, so how do we beat climate change? We beat climate change, of course, by looking at these toxins, of course, like that are playing with our mindset. Our mindset now, that is a problem. Today, you find a person comes in with this theory, good idea, and an innovation, but if the other person doesn't welcome the idea and is doing the other things, like a different thing, you'll find that this toxin is the one that is going to come and disturb this person's work, and henceforth, you are back to square one. So now, this is how we are going to address the like with my theory. This is where now we get to realize to say in all aspects of our lives there are a lot of toxins. So even in your friendship, if you want to progress in life, you need to actually eradicate a certain toxin, a certain problem somewhere. So now again, coming to the thought of like the Earth Tech competition, we're looking at climate change, for instance. Like how do we eradicate like the whole issue of like a certain toxin that we've discovered, that is the environmental aspect. So the toxin can also be in our leaders as well. The toxin can be in our leaders. If leaders are not paying attention to young people, we have got brilliant minds. If leaders are not paying attention to young people by putting them in decision making as well, like also to take part in decision making, then definitely that is a toxin that is there, and we need to eradicate that mindset for us to progress, because like the SDGs say, leave no one behind. Also coming to the earth part, like in terms of the water, like there are a lot of toxins that are dumped. Like let's look at, for instance, like ARVs. Like we have got a problem like in Africa. There are a lot of problems that go around, for instance, whereby they will say plastic pollution. But how do we beat plastic pollution when in the nutshell you find that the containers whereby the ARVs come in, they are plastics, and up to this decade, we have got people finding a problem accepting their status, and they throw them around in the streets. They don't know where to dump them. Like, for instance, in rural areas, like, we know plastics are non-biodegradable. That is where now the problem comes in. How do they dump those things? And if at all a plastic cannot get rotten and it cannot be recycled, then that is a toxin as well. So this is a theory that will address all these things and make us to wake up, because enough is enough. Our world is burning. It's actually burning. Our home is burning. Like, we have got these fires that have been breaking out. It is because of our carelessness. We are not realizing to say that each person has got a toxin in their lives. There's no person that is so perfect. Every person has got a toxin in their life. So with this theory, each person needs to be educated, and once the person's mindset is changed, then definitely even all the theories that will come to, like, will be given to people to, like, look at, for them to implement them, it will be a walkover kind of a situation. So how do this thing get, like, to be carried out? Definitely we need to actually have stakeholders on board. Need to have people from all the environments, like, for all the sectors. So now the person that we cannot look we cannot actually sideline is the person, the poorest person. We need to realize to say, like, if at all in Africa we have got a problem for charcoal burning, like cutting down of trees, it is because they don't have we have got a problem. Like, recently we heard to say we had a problem of climate change. It's because of the cutting down of trees. And if at all there is the problem of the, like, charcoal burning, all these things, like the emissions, the fuel, fossils, and all that. So if at all